coming to us live, as opposed to dead, I guess, and we're glad he's alive. Thomas Harding, one of the great people who covers Major League Baseball, not only in Denver, throughout the nation. Thomas, how are you today?
I feel good. I feel clean, and I am live. I'm not Memorex or I'm not tape or anything like that. Some days I'd like to be on a tape-delayed basis, but I guess I have to be live.
Yeah. I call people, and I can't figure out whether they'll go, hello, and I go, how are you doing? And they go, this is Thomas Harding. I'm not home now. And I'm talking to somebody's voicemail. The first thing that hit me driving downtown today, two things that hit me, Thomas Harding. One was a car. No, two things hit me. It's a beautiful day. There had been some concerns that yesterday was a little bit chilly, but got better during the day. And I love it when there's a perfect opening day. And the second thing is it was downtown, and there are Cubs fans everywhere. Yeah. The Cubs jerseys are almost as dominant as the Rockies jersey. So I don't know that there's a question in there, Thomas, but take it and run with it.
Well, I'll tell you what, and especially in years that people are excited about the Cubs, they have that nationwide fan base, and it's an interesting crew of people. I mean, I guess the culture at Wrigley is you get up in the morning, you party, and then you go to the baseball game. Now, on the road, if it's a night game, they get up in the morning and they party from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m., and then they go to a baseball game. So it's always fun when they come to town, but it can get a little wild there in the stands. But, hey, opening day here with the Cubs in town, that's pretty good. There's going to be a whole lot of blue and a whole lot of purple here.
As I said, Thomas Harding, MLB.com. How long have you been doing MLB.com?
I've been with MLB.com. I think this is my 14th season, and it's my 16th covering the Rockies.
Wow. You've seen a lot of misery during that time. And a couple of highlights. And a highlight, Chris Dempsey and I were just talking, the sweep in Milwaukee, and Troy Rink, who had covered baseball with you for a long, long time, said he thought that going directly from Arizona to sea level, the Rockies didn't have to make that adjustment that they make going from Colorado to sea level. And we were discussing that maybe they should start the season with at least maybe a 12-game road trip before they come home.
There is something to that to a certain degree, although I did talk to Don Baylor a few years ago, and he was saying that it depends on where you start. I mean, Milwaukee, they don't really heat that retractable roof stadium, but a lot of times when you leave Arizona, if they send you to, say, Wrigley Field, that's even tougher than going home and then going back on the road because you go from hot to really cold, and hitters don't like cold weather. There may be something to that, although last year they opened in Miami. Now, granted, it was a cross-country trip, and things didn't go all that well in Miami. So there are many theories that you can throw out. Here's what I'm looking at. Last year, I believe they won 8 games before the end of April, and then it was awful for the rest of the year, and they finished with 21 road wins. So the question will be, once they get into the season and have a couple of long homestands and things like that, will they do well on the road after that happens?
I said to Chris, he thought the Rockies had to pick up about 15 more victories at home. I thought if they could get 10 to 12 more at home and 10 to 12 more on the road, that they would be playing those meaningful games that Jeff Bridich wants in September.
Yeah, I think that somewhere around 35 wins on the road is a good number for them. Let's face it, you would like to have a winning record on the road and a winning record at home, but the winning record on the road has happened exactly once in 22 years. So, and they've gone to the playoffs 3 times. So what you need to do is get somewhere near the break-even point and dominate your schedule at home.
Are we seeing a more confident, a more commanding Walt Weiss? And I'll mention a couple of things, that the analytics that they're using defensively to make shifts for each player, rather than a player just using his thought processes and what he knows about the player, or some infield coach moving him around. In spring training, Walt Weiss even toyed with the idea of batting the pitcher 8. I know Tony La Russa,
which he's doing today.
It looks like that Walt Weiss is more. He's more comfortable in his skin as a manager this year.
Well, first of all, I guess breaking news. This is the first time since July 13th, 2008, that both teams are batting their pitchers eighth.
Yeah.
So both teams are doing it right now in today's game. I do think he's more confident. And by the way, I'm getting a weird echo. Are you getting it too?
No, you sound great
good.
on this end.
All right, good. That's beautiful. Okay. I think he's a little bit more confident. And to tell you the truth, some of the people who've risen to power in that organization, Jeff Bridich and some of the assistants there, are people that he has leaned on for stats in the past. This isn't new, his reliance on analytics. He actually had at times commissioned people to come up with stats. He would look at them and then pass them to the coaching staffs to coach accordingly. So, yeah, you're seeing Walt Weiss definitely with more command in the dugout, command of the organization, and certainly command of the personnel than maybe you saw in the past.
The talk always, annually, is about Tulowitzki and Cargo and their health, but we have seen over the last year the emergence of two young stars, I think. Two guys that are going to be in all-star games, and if the Rockies can keep them. But I would ask you about Arenado and Corey Dickerson. Corey's going to bat leadoff today. They have gotten off to incredible starts, and they're great young players.
Yeah, and Corey Dickerson, offensively, it's hard to find a more exciting young player because not only has he hit for good average, and that may or may not stay that way because he's so aggressive, but the power and the ability to drive in runs is there. And Nolan Arenado, he came in as a defensive player, which is funny because he was drafted based on his hitting skills, and the offense is starting to come around. So you're starting to see those guys develop into star types. Now, for this team to do well, I think it's going to be some of the other guys. Can Charlie Blackmon be he's not starting today. Can he be a winning leadoff hitter? DJ LeMahieu, now that he is comfortable as a major league player and he's a Gold Glove second baseman, can he contribute enough offensively to make a bit of a difference? It's those things. If you look back at the teams that have won, and especially the 2007-2009 era, they had a lot of players who came up through the organization, and once those guys became comfortable, okay, I'm not getting sent down to AAA, then you started seeing them doing a lot of the little things that win ball games. That's what I'm looking for from some of those other guys, and from Dickerson and Arenado, to tell you the truth, that sometimes it's not about your home run, your RBIs, your batting average. It's about moving that runner during that road game where maybe you need a run to win 3-2 instead of losing that game. So I'm interested to see if some of these young guys can get past the stage of trying to prove that you're a major league player.
Thomas Harding is joining us, and this segment is brought to you by John Elway Cadillac of Park Meadows, Colorado's #1 Cadillac dealership, and that's where Thomas Harding gets all his Cadillacs. He's got
all 10 of his
with
Cadillacs.
10 now? It's now 10?
Yeah.
So if you ever see Thomas Harding on the street, he'll be driving a John Elway Cadillac. Thomas,
Exactly. I've gotten all 0 of my Cadillacs.
Thomas, let me ask you a couple other questions if we can. I know you want to get ready for all the festivities and everything out there, but let's turn back. Before I get to the pitching, though, Hundley seems like the first guy, and you've covered the team forever, like I have. Hundley seems to me more like a Joe Girardi type than anybody they've ever had as a catcher during the intervening time.
You know, I'll tell you what, I missed the Joe Girardi era. I did run into him with other clubs, and definitely he was special. The guy I look back at, believe it or not, is your Vittorio Alba, how he, and it wasn't necessarily strategy, but how he connected with pitchers. I thought that he made a huge difference with Ubaldo Jimenez, even though it wasn't exactly a comfortable relationship, but he was the type that he could tell a joke or he could threaten to punch a pitcher out on the mound, either one of those things. And also he had a good read of how the game was going. I would see him, they would hand him a scouting report. He would look at the cover of it and throw it into the locker and go out there and say, okay, pitcher, you listen to me and I will get you through this game. But Nick Hundley, I like the way that he works with pitchers. I like the way that he gets to know them. And I like the way that he challenges them. What he did with Kyle Kendrick on opening day, where he basically called almost a backward game from what he learned in Philadelphia and ended up winning. I think that won over not just Kyle Kendrick, but it won over the entire pitching staff and everybody on the field.
And now turning to today's starter for the Rockies, Matzik, he has patterned himself after Clayton Kershaw. And if you're going to pattern yourself after someone as a left-hander, that would be the guy to do it. He seems more confident this year. He struggled mightily early last year. He kind of finished strong. What are you expecting out of Matzik, both today and this season?
Well, what I see out of Matzik and what I want to continue to see out of Matzik is his ability to handle bad things that happen where it looks like he can handle Coors Field. I thought he pitched very well at Coors Field for a guy just coming up last year, where something bad would happen, a fly ball would go over the wall, he would get the next ball and continue to pitch. I mean, he had a sub-3 ERA, which you don't have a lot of from a young pitcher at Coors Field. So that's what I'm looking for out of him. And there is some polish that he needs. I mean, he needs to use those two sliders that he has, one that goes at the back foot of the right-handed hitter, the other for the strike zone. He needs to use those effectively. I think that his changeup, if it makes a quantum leap, he can make a quantum leap as a pitcher. What I like about him is the competitiveness. At no point in his minor league career did he particularly succeed. I mean, he was a barely 500 pitcher in the minors, or he was right at 500. So whatever is going to happen for him is going to happen at this level, and I think it's the right place because he just wants to go out there and try to win a game. I don't think he really took well to, you need to work on this pitch or throw this pitch X number of times in the minor leagues. He's the type that his competitiveness, even more than the talent, is what's going to make him what's going to make him successful.
Enjoy the day. Thomas, how can people keep up with your tweets throughout the course? I know you do it throughout the course of the game. How can people follow you in addition to the Colorado Rockies site, MLB, and personally, your handle?
I mean, the tweets, let's face it, it's the new dance craze. I mean, it's kind of like you and I, Woody, back in the disco days with our open lapel jackets and shirts and stuff. But no.
And Woody still.
Yeah, still. Okay, it's the @ sign @ Harding _ @AT _ MLB. That's the Twitter. There's also a Facebook page, Thomas Harding and Friends at Rockies.com. So find me on online or on social media or whatever. Make sure you use your phone, keep up with it, and you can read during the game with in-game reading. So whatever you want to do, I'm there for you.
Hey, thanks, Thomas. I'll end with this. You guys are much younger, but there was a Hall of Fame sports writer here who covered minor league baseball and CU football named Frank Haraway.
Okay.
And Frank Haraway was the biggest homer in the history of the world. And every time that CU got behind or the Denver Bears or the Denver Zephyrs got behind, I'd look over him and I'd say, Frank, turn them loose. So, Thomas, I say to you, turn them loose today.
That's hilarious.
Get the Rockies in.
Yeah. Thanks, Thomas.
Hey, I'm not going to get any singles, and I'm not going to throw any innings. So they're on their own today.
Yeah, you're not going to catch a ball up there where you sit.
Definitely not.
Thomas Harding, MLB.com. Thank you. This segment sponsored by John Elway Cadillac of Park Meadows, Colorado's #1 Cadillac dealer.
When you go to buy a car, what do you really want? You probably want a lot of cars to choose from. And you want the dealership's best price. Not some starting price or target price, the best price. And you want it immediately, not after hours of negotiating. And you want a salesperson who doesn't get paid more if you spend more. Because, well, you don't want to spend more. Well, you're in luck. John Elway wants all of those things too. Better yet, John Elway wants you to have all of those things too. Come see us or click on elwaydealers.com.